Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Nicole, and today I'm going to be talking about 7 drugstore dupes for products in my collection that I love. I'm a little bit annoyed because I actually just recorded, or so I thought, about 40 minutes worth of me applying all of these products with the drugstore version on the left side of my face and the high-end version on the right side of my face, and I realized afterwards that my memory filled up and it stopped recording. Whoops. So I'm just going to talk about the products real quick. I am going to post a before and after of this look on my Instagram later today, since I won't get a chance to check back in with you guys, so you can see how everything holds up through the day. If you don't follow me there, my username is nicolesimmons.makeup. Let's go ahead and dive in. The first dupe that I have is for the Mercier Hydrating Primer. This I got as a part of a point perk from Sephora, but it seems like it's gonna last me forever. I used like a pea-sized dot of this and it covers my whole face. The drugstore version I found is the Nyx Hydratouch primer, and they are so similar as far as consistency and application, how they wear underneath of my foundation. Like I said, I will check back in with you guys at the end of the day on Instagram so you can see how everything holds up, but I have found no difference between the two. So moving on, we're going to go with my Beautyblender versus my Ecotools beauty sponge. When I first started getting more into makeup, you would have had to pry my Beautyblender out of my cold dead hands. I loved this thing. I didn't even want to try any of the alleged dupes from the drugstore. I think the first one that I did end up trying was the Real Techniques one, the orange one that a lot of people are in love with, and I wasn't crazy about it. Except for that, I was like, Beautyblender, that's it for me. I don't know what possessed me to try the Ecotools one, but I'm so glad that I did. I love this sponge. First of all, I love that it has the rounded bottom like the Beautyblender, but the top has 2 flat sides. There's a smaller one that I like for blending out my concealer and a larger one that I like for applying powder for baking. This one's nice that it has that tiny little tip that can really get into, you know, around your nose and the inner corner of your eyes, but I find the corners on this one do pretty much the same thing. They're both dampened right now. As you can see, the Ecotools one is a little bit bigger, about equal in squishiness. I have found that this does tend to get little rips in it over time. It's not the end of the world. This thing costs like $7. Like, it still lasts me just as long as the Beautyblenders have in the past. So, can't be that. Moving on, we have another part of that Laura Mercier point perk from Sephora was the Secret Brightening Powder for under eyes, which I use to set my concealer. And the dupe that I found is the E.L.F, what is it called? The Itchy Under Eye Setting Powder in Sheer. These are so freaking similar. It's ridiculous. Like, I wonder if they're the same exact ingredients with just like a bigger price difference. Like, I really don't know. The results will speak for themselves, I'm sure, at the end of the day, but I find that both of these, I don't have any problems with creasing. It definitely gives me a nice little bit of brightness under the eye. So I find that to be a pretty perfect dupe. Next, we have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Taupe. And I think I mentioned in my first video that I have heard a lot of things about the NYX, I think it's called the Micro Brow Pencil, being a dupe for this. I like that pencil, but for whatever reason, I always ended up going back to the Brow Wiz until I found the E.L.F. I believe this is relatively new, and it's the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. The shades I have swatched here, and they are very similar. As I was applying them, I honestly felt like the E.L.F. side was going on a little bit easier than the Brow Wiz. The Brow Wiz I had to keep going back in. I don't know if that's because this is new and it was the first time I've used this particular one, or if the E.L.F. one is just better. Sorry. Not sorry. But yeah, they both have the spoolie on the end. They're pretty much the same thing, man. Except for one's like $5 and one's like 20. So moving on, I definitely did mention in my last video the MAC brushstroke liner. This was my holy grail since I found it probably about a year ago. I replaced my Kat Von D tattoo liner with it. They do have this similar brush kind of applicator, but I found that for some reason the Kat Von D one, if I had to like touch up spots or go back over the line, it would start to kind of remove the product, which was weird. Never had that issue with the MAC one. But now I have found through, I think it was Jessica Braun that mentioned the NYX Epic Ink liner, and this stuff is great. It has, oh my god, get it together, woman. The same brush applicator. I will swatch these. Here we have the NYX on top, the MAC on the bottom. I mean, they apply pretty much the same. They're both incredibly easy to use and apply. And this is the NYX side. This is the MAC side. Don't judge that they're different, because you know that your winged eyeliner is different too. Nobody can do that. If you say you can, I think you're a liar. Anyway, next we have the high-end first, right? Kat Von D Shade and Light palette versus the Profusion contour palette. My beef with the Kat Von D palette is, here we have, let's see, which shade? This is the highlight shade that I use sometimes under my eyes, or if I have any areas that I need to brighten up, or if I have to blend out a contour a little bit more, whatever. This is too yellow for me. This is too peach for me. This is my contour shade, and I use this one as a bronzer shade. This one's too dark, maybe in the summer. I don't know, I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. I just got this a few months ago. So my gripe would be that out of 6 shades, 3 of them are unusable for me. Womp. Now, this is not an exact dupe because the shades are different, but so is the price. This is supposed to have a mirror. Mine fell out. Not the end of the world. So here we have a shimmer highlight, matte highlight, contour, bronzer, and again, I don't know that I will ever be tan enough to use the shade, but maybe. We'll see. But that's at least, you know, I'm getting to use 80% of the palette over 50% of the palette. I find that they blend out just as well and perform just as well throughout the day, so I appreciate that. And the final dupe that I have is MAC Ruby Woo, pretty iconic, versus the NYX matte lipstick in the shade Eden. I mean, the shades, oh, lovely. That's cute. Hope you guys enjoyed that. The shades are pretty spot on, and the formula is very similar. I'm sure you can probably see that the Drugstore side is a little bit less matte, I would say, than the MAC side. But I also feel like it's a little bit less drying. Ruby Woo has a very special place in my heart. It was one of the first high-end makeup things that I actually was gifted, and I think my first MAC product ever, so I will never give that up. I love that, but you know, I'm doing it for you guys. Finding these dupes out here for a lot less money, so go ahead and get your Ruby Woo on a budget. That's all I have to talk about today. I'm sorry that the full video didn't work out. I'm gonna have to invest, I guess, in a camera at some point or another so that I can, you know, record for longer than 10 minutes without it being an issue. But like I said, I'll catch up with you guys on Instagram. I'll let you see how everything wore throughout the day. If you have any questions about any of these products or any of the other products that I'm using, just leave it in the comment box down below, and I'll see you guys again next time.